cloud. So welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday and it's Pero Wednesday webinars. We have our second webinar of today, May 4th. May 4th, 2022. I'm still at April mindset. So we have our wonderful speaker, Angela, and Angela will be presenting today on the topic of developing self-leadership and promoting your well-being as well. So she is a founder and director of Inside Communication. And let me just do the proper introduction with your bio here. So Angela Calzado is the founder and director of Inside Communication. It is a social enterprise offering communication, research, and strategic planning services related to leadership and well-being topics. Angela has a 30 plus combined years of training and professional experience in research, strategic planning, education, stakeholder engagement, leadership, strategic communication, teaching organizational culture, and group facilitation, including graduate degrees in professional communication beyond the Royal Roads University in Victoria, BC. And she is a transformative leadership and in spirituality at St. Paul University in Ottawa. She has a degree in interdisciplinary studies from Carleton University in Ottawa as well. And as well as certification in teaching yoga, English as a second language, expressive arts therapy, adult education, and dialogue education. Wonderful. And I got a little more. Angela Avegaile has worked with and for various not-for-profit organizations, and for over a decade, she has fulfilled professional roles in different departments of the Canadian government. Avegaile's approach to promoting leadership and well-being is holistic, integrative, and embodies an experiential. She draws from interdisciplinaries in scientific research, proven methodology, as well as ancient practices related to communication and leadership studies, such as psychology, humanities, mindfulness, meditation, expressive art therapy, martial arts, and hatha yoga. So for more information, I'll put the website and her contact information for you to reach out to her after or during this presentation. So without further delay, I would love to welcome Angela Avegaile to our wonderful Wednesday webinars, and my apologies. So Avegaile, take the floor and I will take the questions on your behalf. Let's unmute you first.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nefre, for that. I'm just kind of embarrassed by that long introduction. This is just a 1 hour webinar, and really I was surprised that I was introduced that way. Really, what you need to know about me is that I will be your facilitator for the webinar. I apologize for that very generous but very long introduction that kind of taking up your time for this afternoon. So maybe I will let Lori know for the next time. Just say Avegaile Calzado, and she'll be the facilitator. But thank you so much. That was very generous.
It's wonderful. I enjoyed reading it.
But it's not about me. This is about you. We only have an hour together, and we're already kind of out of time. So I hope you guys don't mind if maybe we might run over time, like 5 minutes.
Totally. Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay, we're good to go. So again, thank you for the generous introduction and welcome everyone. Before we start, I just want to acknowledge that I'm joining you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, Anishinaabe Nation. And I really want to acknowledge my privilege to play, live, and work in this territory. I am an invited guest, a racialized settler, and it is indeed a privilege for me to be here. So I would like to also invite you to take a moment to acknowledge where you may be joining us this afternoon. And yeah, just take a moment because it's important. So before we dive in, I also want to invite you, if you don't have, I'm old school, I always have paper and pen close by. So even though we just have an hour together, I'm going to invite you to kind of do a bit of reflecting and writing with me. So together we'll do this webinar is really designed to help you develop some of your capacities for self-leadership and to promote your well-being. And I always try to make my webinars a bit interactive. So you will be writing a bit or thinking a bit throughout while I'm talking. So we will start by, let's start by grounding and centering ourselves. So if you have your camera on, please feel free to turn it off or keep it on. I won't be looking. You can lie down if you want. So what we will be doing the next 10 minutes is that we'll just center and ground ourselves. So you made it here this afternoon. It's a beautiful day here. You made it here in front of your screen physically. I really just want to invite you to bring your mind, heart, and spirit here as well. So if you want, kind of remove any gadgets you have in front of you. I really invite you to focus your attention, body, mind, heart, and spirit here this afternoon. And if you feel comfortable, you can lower your gaze or close your eyes. And if you're familiar with the practice of mindfulness or body scan, this is what we will be doing in the next few minutes, and I will be just guiding you through that. So close your eyes or lower your gaze and sit comfortably. Notice how you're sitting. Feel the weight of your body in your chair. Take a few deep breaths, inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly. Inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly. Moving your attention to your breath, inhaling deeply. Notice the cool air as it enters your nostrils. And notice the warm air as it touches your upper lip. Inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly. Now move your attention slowly through your body. Notice the bottom of your feet. Notice how you're connected to the floor, to the ground beneath it, to the earth. Notice your toes. Notice your ankles. Notice your legs. Notice your shins, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your buttocks. Notice your neck. Notice your lower back, your belly. Notice your chest. Notice your upper back. Notice your hands, your fingers, your wrist. Notice your forearms, your elbows, your upper arms, your biceps, your triceps. Notice your shoulders. Notice your throat. Notice your entire neck. Notice your face, your chin, your nose, your eyes. Notice your eyebrows, Notice the space between your eyebrows. Notice your forehead. Notice your ears. Notice the top of your head. Now notice your entire body, paying attention to any sensations that may arise. If you notice any strong sensations, just notice it, name it for what it is. If you're feeling cold, warm, feeling any tingling, any tension, just notice the sensation and let it go. Just noticing any sensations, naming them for what they are, and let them go. Now notice your mind. Notice what thoughts may be arising. Where is your mind taking you right now? Are you in the past? Are you in the future? If you find your mind wandering, come back to the present moment. Bring your awareness back to your physical body. Bring your awareness back to any sensations that you may be feeling in your body. Just notice them. Notice the sensations and then let them go. Now bring your attention to your heart, to your chest area. Notice how you're feeling this afternoon. What emotions are you holding in your heart? Acknowledge these emotions, name them for what they are. Keep feeling relaxed, sad, happy. Just acknowledge the feeling and let it go. Take a few more moments to inhale deeply, exhaling slowly. Inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly. See again if you can notice the cool air as it enters your nostrils. Inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly, and see if you can notice that warm air as it touches your upper lip. Inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes and come back to the group, to the present moment. I would like to invite all of you, if you don't mind turning on your camera, even just for a minute, just for the introductions. I always say, I know maybe for privacy, don't, only if you want to. I just realized that we're being recorded. But I always say, we're in this virtual reality now, in that in real life, we don't usually attend workshops, webinar, or seminars with paper bags over our head. So I just want to know if there's like real people behind this black thing. So I know we're being recorded. So for privacy reasons, and you don't want to be recorded, please turn off your camera. I just want to know, I just want to see your faces. It's part of, we're doing this webinar in self-leadership and promoting our well-being, right? And part of being our own leader is to be seen, to show ourselves. So that can be a practice as well, because I know lots of people just say, I'm not camera ready. I'm like, well, in real life, are you ready? Do you show up to your engagement when you're not ready? So I just thought I'd put that out there. But please don't feel compelled. It's just I thought I share it. We've been into this virtual reality for a while now, and I think we're getting comfortable into just kind of showing, not even showing ourselves, right? And sometimes we don't even use our own Zoom account. So we have another identity where, so how can we be our own leaders when we don't show up, even electronically or digitally? So I'm just going to share my screen with you. I'm going to be talking a bit, but I'm hoping to also engage you because this webinar is really about you. Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen. And let's talk about emotional intelligence. Yeah. So what's the point of the exercise we just did? Like I said, I'm sure meditation and mindfulness exercise is now becoming mainstream. So what's the point of all that? I introduced that exercise, that simple exercise, because it's also a key for developing your capacity for self-leadership and promoting our well-being. Emotional intelligence, you have this kind of complex looking graphic on the slide. This is by Daniel Goldman. He's an expert on emotional intelligence. But what we just did earlier is really a practice for developing our emotional intelligence, and which is really a part of the capacity for developing our self-leadership and for promoting our well-being. And I will want to simplify emotional intelligence as connecting our body, mind, and heart. It is really about, the graphic's a bit complex because Daniel Goldman has 5 aspects of emotional intelligence, but I like to present it as three aspects: self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-care, which is really a capacity for self-leadership. And what do I mean by this? For me, it's not just for me, I say for me, but I do have a couple of graduate degrees and a few years of experience to back this up, that our bodies really are anchor. Everything else, our body and our breath, our heart, are really our anchors to lead ourselves. This is when I always think of our physical body is really a precious gift. We only have one body, and when we think about it, our body is a vessel, it's a container of life. And we can even think about it this way, that life has chosen our body to manifest itself. And it is up to us how we intend to show up to all our interactions, all our relations. It is up to us how we will experience our reality and how we will experience our well-being. So in many cultures, including ours here in Canada, there's a lot of emphasis on IQ, in people's IQ. And we use that as a measure of success. But a lot of data is now showing that 80% of success really is based on other things. And a big chunk of that is emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence, like I said, is about self-awareness. Self-awareness is our ability to recognize our emotions as they are happening. It's also our ability to self-regulate those emotions and those feelings as we are experiencing them, so that we can be aware of how our emotions affect the decisions that we make, how they negatively or positively impact our way of being and our well-being. So when we're aware of our emotions, we can develop our capacity for our own leadership, for our own well-being. So our first goal to become our own leader is to be aware of our inner condition. We always talk in my leadership courses that quality of our intervention as leaders depends on our inner condition, the quality of our internal world. So we have to be aware of what's going on. Everything, 95% of what's going on, that of our actions, our behavior, is motivated by that subconscious. The 95%, 5% is the conscious. So it's up to us. How do we lead ourselves? How do we promote our well-being? Is that we get to know ourselves. We get to know the contents of our mind, the contents of our heart. because everything else, because of my yoga background as well, everything else was really an illusion. It's our perception, our interpretation of reality. But the real thing, what's real is our body, our physical body, and our breath, and how we manage our body and our breath, and how in our engagement, our interaction with people. This is how we take leadership. We can't control other people's emotions, decisions, actions, but we can control how we respond to these things. So we're going to go into a short breakout session. I'm just looking at the time. We might not have time to this breakout session, but what I wanted to do is for you to connect with each other, to just kind of take a couple of minutes to discuss how you promote your own well-being and what self-leadership means to you. So I'm going to try, even though we're running out of time here, I'm going to try to put you in a quick breakout, rooms. And it looks like, am I allowed to do that, Nefri? Are you still with me? I guess she left. So we won't do the breakout. It looks like I don't have the capacity to put you in breakout rooms. So what I wanted you to do was actually just to connect with each other, and so that you can discuss among yourselves, what does it mean for you to lead yourself? What does self-leadership mean to you? And how do you promote your well-being? So I'm just going to go back, since I can't put you in breakout rooms. I'm just going to share my screen again with you.
We can do breakout rooms if you like.
Yeah.
Avegaile? Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't mind.
Random, I can do it random. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't mind, if we can have 2 people in each room, and let's give them like 3 minutes each, just to discuss and introduce themselves. Because I don't know if you guys know each other. I know you're part of the Pero Circle, but since you don't know each other, maybe take a couple of minutes, 3 minutes to introduce yourself to each other, what you do, and what does self-leadership mean to you, and how do you promote your own well-being. So Nefri, is that good? I'm going to broadcast the question and the chat. Well, it's 2 questions. What does self-leadership mean to you, and how do you promote your own well-being? And Nefri will...
I will assign it to you. It'll be an automatic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you want to be in the breakout rooms, Avegaile?
I'll float around.
Okay.
Yeah, it will just be a quick chat, because I know we're out of time, but I just want you to talk about it among each other, or between each other.
Okay, so you will be called to your rooms, and so a button on the screen will show up, say join, and you will join. Let's see if I can add. I'm not sure how to add the minutes, but once I put you into the breakout rooms, I'll put three minutes on my timer, and then I'll bring you all back. Okay, so here we are. Here you go.
Thanks, Nefri. Maybe make me a co-host so that you don't have to do it.
Okay. Nothing yet?
We're in the main room. Nancy Morgan is in here with us. So maybe put Nancy, Jessica. Well, we can stay here. It looks like we're in the main room. so yeah. Nice meeting you, Jessica.
Hello. I was like, I joined room 2, but I was the only one in there. And
okay,
then...
no worries. We can just sit here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Hello.
What does self-leadership mean to you?
So some notes that I wrote down quickly was kind of holding yourself accountable in a sense, and having like a developed sense of who you are and what you're capable of, and then kind of holding yourself accountable to reach those goals or set those goals, and kind of be a role model based on those set values that you have for yourself, kind of thing.
Oh, pretty neat. Thanks for sharing. How about you? You took a lot of notes there. It's great. How about you, Nancy? What does self-leadership mean to you? Nancy is from the Workshop Dance Studio. I don't know if she can hear us. No, maybe she can't hear.
Oh, I think she had wrote in the chat that something about not being able, oh, maybe not. I don't see it here. Or maybe it might have been
on mute because she has people. Okay, no worries.
I think so, yeah.
How do you promote your own well-being?
That's been hard for me. I was like a counselor in my previous job kind of thing. And when I left the field, I ended up finally having counseling for myself, which really helped me to kind of, again, figure out who I was as a person, what I wanted to contribute to the world, and what goals I wanted for myself. So I feel like taking the time for myself, really sitting down and thinking, what goals do I have? How can I accomplish them? And just really focused on kind of like putting myself first is how and trying to have that balance in life if I can. Sometimes I'll like hang out with friends to avoid, say, life responsibilities, so I really try to put myself first and kind of have those goals for myself to keep me on track.
Wow, you sound very self-aware. I think you don't need to be in the workshop. Like,
I was interested to see what it was about. I've always loved like leadership roles and just kind of learning about, yourself and ways you can improve. So.
But you sound very self-aware, because initially when I introduced the mindfulness practice, it's a big chunk of leadership. It's really how can you lead others when when you can lead yourself, right? So I think we have to walk the talk. So it sounds like you're already very self-aware. You talk about your goals, and it's very. And I'm going to talk about too during my presentation that it's a big chunk of self-leadership. It's really knowing what you want to begin with,
yes.
and what you stand for. So that's pretty neat. And Nefri, I don't know if Nefri is joining the conversation.
Oh, she just put 20 seconds. So I think it's
okay.
end the room soon, but
I didn't share mine, but the fact that I'm giving the presentation is pretty much representative of what I think about, and what self-leadership and promoting our well-being is all about. I think, for me, it's important to come back to the breath, come back to the body, especially now we're in Zoom all the time, right? Like, at least, so I think,
I really like that exercise. And like when I was in counseling, we did or when I was counseling youth, we did focus a lot on like mindfulness exercises to really help them also be able to like gain those skills for when things are overwhelming, or so that they can and develop their own values.
Well, let me.
Someone saying, "Welcome back, everyone. How was that? Does anyone want to share any of their takeaways from your conversation? Just quickly, maybe a word or two or a sentence or two. Any takeaway? Did you learn anything new from your peer or your counterparts about self-leadership and well-being? I was with Jessica, and she talks about I was telling her she's very self-aware, and she already knows. It seems like she knows what I'm going to be talking about for the rest of the webinar. So I hope I can bring her something new. So does anyone have any takeaways or anything you would like to share? If not, I will move on to the next. I will move on to the next slide here. Well-being. Someone's putting something in the chat. Great. So I asked you to discuss what self-leadership and well-being means to you. And I ask you to do that because a lot of times I notice that wellness and well-being are being used interchangeably. So I just want to share my definition of well-being, because for me, well-being is more than physical wellness. I really see well-being, and it's just not me, there's lots of studies behind this, that well-being is really about being in our flow, in a state of connection with our body, mind, and heart, and the full expression of our inner capabilities as individuals in how we are intended to live. So well-being is really about self-actualization. It's really about self-leadership. So for me, well-being and leadership are really interconnected and intertwined. We can't be our own leader if we are not well in our own skin. We cannot lead others if we cannot lead ourselves to begin with. If we cannot manage what's going on in our mind and our heart, and if we cannot manage our own action. So self-leadership is really this practice of understanding who we are, identifying the outcomes and experiences we want to have, and intentionally guiding ourselves toward this outcome and expectations. So self-leadership involves figuring out what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. And both self-leadership and well-being involve finding some kind of balance between expressing who we really are and who we want to become. And with the quality of our experiences, including the relationships we built with the people around us. So self-leadership and well-being are really about finding our sense of purpose and meaning in life. It seems like a big jump, but it's not. We can't be leaders if we're not well in our own skin. And I ask in your small groups or in pairs to discuss how you promote your own well-being and what self-leadership mean to you. I develop a framework and I will share it with you. And this framework is what I use as pillars, what I see as pillars for developing our capacity for self-leadership and promoting our well-being. And I call my framework heart practice. And this framework, the heart is really an acronym for 5 things. H, honor your values and vision. E, embrace your goals and priorities. A, attend to your needs, wants, thoughts, and feelings. R, reach out to others. T, take care of yourself. So these are the 5 pillars that I've developed for promoting our self-leadership capacities and promoting our well-being, which is also kind of universal too, that I think we can use for any kind of things in life. I'm gonna walk you through each pillar just quickly. So the first pillar, honor your values and visions. So in general, when we're feeling unwell about something, it's probably an indication that something is disconnected from our values. Our values are the things that really matter to us. So when we're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, there's probably a tension between what we really need and want and what we believe we really need and want. So for example, in your mind, you want challenge and adventure. So you quit your stable job and start a business. Now you're your own boss and have to figure out how you're going to make money and how you're going to pay your bill. In your mind, you're loving this. You're meant to be an entrepreneur. You think you can handle all the instability and uncertainty of not knowing where you're going to get your money. And you think you're like this kind of adventure. But your body and your spirit are telling you otherwise. Your body and your spirit are starting to let you know that you are not satisfied with what's going on. You need security, you need stability, so that there's tension between your mind and your body. And if you don't pay attention to this tension, it could spill over to the quality of your interactions and your relationships with the people around you. And obviously, it can compromise your well-being and happiness, as well as the well-being and happiness of the people around you. So knowing what really matters to us and how we're going to go about getting what mattered to us is an important part of self-leadership, of promoting our well-being. And it's really being honest. When you say, this is what matters to me, you also have to kind of think about, what are my strengths, my skills? Am I going to be able to attain my goals? Am I going to be able to attain my desired outcome given the resources that are available to me? So it's also being realistic. This is part of the honoring your values and your vision. So I have on this slide, I have some words. These are just example of words that I thought I'd show you just to get you thinking about what really matters to you and in your work or in your life in general. Because knowing our values and regularly connecting with them really can help us feel more grounded. So we have our body, our breath, our heart to anchor ourselves, but we also, if we know our values, what we stand for, it can be our guide. It could be our compass for, for doing the things that we do. So when in front of some kind of challenging situation and an issue, we can go back to our values and our vision and go, okay, in this situation that I'm finding challenging, what really matters to me? What do I need? What do I want? What's the outcome that I want here? And how can I get that? So I'm just showing you these words. Like I said, these are just examples to get you thinking about what really matters to you in your life or in your work. What are your, like for me, values are also non-negotiables. What are your non-negotiables? No matter, like, what I mean is that no matter what you do, no matter what challenge, no matter what work you try to do, these are the things that you absolutely have to have for you to be satisfied and happy with what you're doing. So I'll just give you that. Normally, I spend quite a bit of time dissecting these words and working with you with it. But what I will do is I will give you homework. If you want, I'll send you a workbook so that you can delve deeper with your values and do the exercise that I wanted to share with you. I'll move on to the next pillar, which is embrace your goals and priorities. So this pillar is about noticing the connections between what really matters to you and how you use your time and energy. It's about paying attention to your goals and priorities so that your expectations would be clear to you. When your expectations are clear to you, you can manage your time and schedule accordingly. You can get out of the anxiety, overwhelm, or stress that may be related to having too much work or too little time. So knowing your goals and priorities. Because we're all busy. It's not just you. Everyone's saying, oh, we're busy, we're juggling all sorts of responsibility. At this time, we're not unique. We're all busy. There's always constant demands for attention, time, and energy. We need to manage our time effectively. And we can only manage our time effectively when we know what we need and want, when we know our goals and priorities. So to have time, we need to make time, put things in your calendar, put them in your schedule, avoid interruptions. A lot of us say there's so much interruption, there's so many things unexpected. Figure out, notice, be mindful. The other day, someone asked me in another webinar, how do we manage the unexpected? Like sometimes be mindful. In your work, in your office, if you work in an office environment or if you're working with other people, notice the surprises and unexpected. How often are these surprises and unexpected happening? Perhaps it's time to schedule these instead of just constantly rearranging your goals and priorities to accommodate these surprises. Be mindful of how you spend your time because we don't have so much. And a lot of stressors, a lot of the things that are negatively affecting our well-being is the lack of time. We're so busy. But if we can manage it and manage how we deal with the little time that we have, we can actually promote our well-being. So the third pillar is about attending to your needs, wants, thoughts, and feelings. So part of self-leadership and promoting your well-being is understanding how you communicate what's going on in your internal world to other people. And you have to remember that communicating with another person involves more than the words we speak. It includes body language, facial expression, the tone or pitch of our voice. I know now with this virtual reality, I'm not sure if it's an advantage or a disadvantage, maybe it is, but we still have to be mindful of how we communicate what's going on inside us. Even though we're in this virtual reality, we still need to figure out how can we communicate effectively so that you will be happy with the outcome of the conversation that you had with the other person. So I just invite you to think about how you communicate with other people and how do they usually respond to you. Like, yeah, just a couple of seconds. Usually I have an exercise for you to do that, but yeah, I just invite you to be mindful of how you communicate and your style of communicating. Another pillar, the fourth pillar of my heart practice, is about reaching out to others and communicating your needs, wants, thoughts, and feelings. Because although you're very self-aware, you know what's going on inside you, you know what you want, no one can read your mind and know exactly what you're feeling. You need to reach out. You have to take care of the number one, and it's you. And if you're not taking care of yourself or exercising self-leadership or promoting your well-being, if you're keeping everything inside, if you're keeping all your thoughts, all your desires, all your needs just inside you, part of self-leadership is communication and reaching out. And if you look around, there are many resources around you, either online or offline. So I want to invite you to think about a specific situation when you have to express what you need or want, or need and want to someone. How did you do it? And think about how else can you have done it differently in a more positive way. So the last pillar of my heart practice is taking care of yourself. So taking care of yourselves, it's about being your own leader. On the plane, I mentioned it, I guess, to Jessica. On the plane, we're always told to put your own mask first before you put to help other people. So it's the same idea with leadership, with self-leadership and our well-being. I always say, remember, our physical body is the vessel, is the container that life has chosen to manifest itself. Our physical body is the container of our entire being. So we can't lead others when we ourselves at the container that we have is like have holes and we're leaking. So we need to kind of figure out, how do I contain myself so that I can relate to others in an effective manner? How do I contain myself? How do I contain my entire being so that I can also be a container for another person? But it has to start with noticing, really noticing your physical body. Are you leaking somewhere? Is there an emotion that's holding you? That's just sort of like, it's an emotion that might be from many years back. If you actually notice it, if you become mindful of this emotion that's controlling your subconscious and your unconscious, that's influencing your decisions, your actions, and your habits and behavior. It's emotions that has been left unexamined. So noticing your physical body and the contents of your physical body is a huge part of developing your capacity for self-leadership and promoting your well-being. It really starts with us. And it's also important to establish and communicate your personal boundaries and limits. Before we can communicate that, we really need to be clear to ourselves. What do I need? What do I want? What's important to me? And how can I protect my most important resource, which is my time, my energy, and essentially my well-being? So if you don't already have one, I can't see your faces right now. So if you don't already have one, maybe you can put on the chat. Do you have some kind of self-care practice? I'm curious. I can see the chat and I can see your faces, but I'm curious if any of you have some kind of self-care practice that you follow. Because again, part of practicing self-leadership and promoting your well-being involves connecting with your physical body and paying attention to what your body is trying to communicate with you through the sensations that you experience. So if you're feeling some tension, you're working in front of your computer, You're feeling some tension in your body. You're feeling some aches and pains. It's obvious. Stop. Do something else to help make yourself feel better. But oftentimes, it's what I'm sharing with you is so obvious. It's not. I'm not sharing with you anything groundbreaking here or earth-shattering. But sometimes we need a new person, a stranger, to tell us something so obvious. When your body is communicating something with you, and our body communicates with us through sensations. And sometimes those sensations are not subtle. It's up to us to take that leadership. You're feeling some tension, relieve yourself, get up. But many of us don't. Like how many of you, I know where I'm doing this webinar during lunchtime. Self-compassion, self-love is eating our meals regularly. And ideally, now that we're in this virtual reality, the work-life balance is no longer there. It was, it was kind of diminishing pre-COVID. I imagine now that this work-life balance is kind of non-existent. Some of us don't have offices. Some of us, I've given some workshops and webinars where people are in their bedroom. How can you have work-life balance when your laptop is on your bed, when you're having your meals on your bed? So notice what your body needs and wants and take care of yourself. Give yourself, even if it's 5 minutes. And I'm inviting you now to just think of what you can do today to take care of yourself so you can recharge your energy. I'm giving you a few moments to commit to something, identify something that you can do for 5 minutes. And if you want to be generous, for 15 minutes. And I invite you to write it down, commit to this. And if you want witnesses, I invite you to share your commitment to yourself on the chat. What do you commit to doing today? Whether it's just 5 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour. What can you commit to doing today to take care of yourself? And I know I asked you to put your electronic gadgets away, but if you have access to your calendar, I also invite you to put this on the calendar. First, I invite you to write it down just for yourself, to witness your own commitment to yourself. And if you want witnesses, I will witness it. You can put it in the chat. You can start with, I commit to, write the action that you will do. I commit to ... to take care of myself. There's a brave soul typing away. That's great. I commit to going to sleep at 10. Thanks, Jenny, for sharing that. Sleep, it's, it's a natural human need. We need to sleep. We think we're being more productive by sleeping less. I don't know if any of you watched Seinfeld. I wrote an article on a blog on my website about being a Kramer. I don't know if any of you is familiar with Seinfeld, but Kramer had this brilliant idea that he said he will sleep less, and he would just take little naps during the day. So that was his idea of being productive. But what we really need, we need a decent amount of sleep for our brain to function properly. So you can't be stingy, you can't deprive yourself of sleep. So if you need 10 hours, give yourself 10 hours. And plan your day according to the time that's available to you. So there's 24 hours in one day. You commit to sleep, to getting 10 hours of sleep. That means you have 12 hours a day to work with. And from that 12 hours, what do you do? Outline your activities and see what can you let go of. What activities really don't add value to you, do not support your well-being at all. Can you let it go? Sometimes we engage in things not because they promote our well-being or support us, because we feel obliged to. Us women, we're so good at, I'm a recovering perfectionist, and community service person, but there's lots of things that I have to let go for my own well-being. So anyone else thought about their commitment to themselves? Also, I want to invite you, if you have your calendar in front of you, the recovering, yeah. I'm also a recovering Catholic. You see the big Buddha head. Catholicism and perfectionism, I think there's some relationship there. I commit to starting the day with some time to sit quietly for a few minutes before launching into my daily task. Oh, Tracy, that's such a great commitment. We think when we're going fast and we're busy that we're being more productive. As women, we think we're into multitasking. We think when we're doing also, but lots of studies show that multitasking doesn't really help us. But what's happening is it's like digging a well. It's like trying to find water by digging a little bit every place. But to get to the depth of things, you need to dig deep. And our rhythm, our society's rhythm, and the rhythm that we impose on ourselves do not allow us to get to the depth of ourselves, because we're constantly just kind of scratching the surface. I'm doing a bit of this, I'm doing a bit of that, I'm doing a bit of that. But in the end, you get nowhere. Lots of studies show that if you want to accomplish something with impact, something that is complex, requires focus and attention. And it's not because you're focusing on something that you're foregoing something. You're actually being more efficient because you are present and focused. And it's the same thing with our relationships, the way we interact. It's not because you have your phone. I know many of us probably share the same generation, so we're not multitasking when we're attending webinars. But a lot of people do. They think that, okay, I don't want to miss this call, but you're not doing yourself a favor. You're not doing your brain a favor. You're not doing your body a favor by not being present. Thanks, Tracy, for sharing that. I also want to invite you, if you have a calendar in front of you, whether it's an old school, I have lots of calendars, I want to invite you to block that time, that commitment in your calendar. I like digital calendars because I can set reminders. So whatever you committed to doing for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it could be listening to relaxing music, meditating, doing the body scan that we did. It took 10 minutes to do that. And it's a super powerful exercise. I always end, today I won't be able to, I always start, and I tend to end my webinars and workshop with this body scan, because it's such a powerful tool to help us. It's a package just a powerful tool that we can use anytime. You can even do that when you're in a meeting. I used to do that. I know that's not being present, but if you're feeling overwhelmed by the situation, you come back to the body. No one knows that you're doing a body scan, right? That you're like inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly, and you're just there, you're just glowing because you're actually, emitting really positive vibes to the people around you. So I'm talking so much. I want to give you some space to find your calendar and block that commitment in your calendar. If you can do it every day or twice a day, if you can find 5 minutes in your calendar for self-care. So what do you commit to doing today, tomorrow, so that you can practice self-leadership and promote your well-being? So another tip for taking care of yourself, again, it's very obvious. Practice self-compassion and be your own best friend. Notice your self-talk and be kind to yourself. As entrepreneurs, there's lots of demands. You're juggling all sorts of responsibilities. So notice your self-talk. Notice your inner critic. For example, what do you say to yourself when you make mistakes? What do you say to yourself when you wake up in the morning? What do you say to yourself when you go to bed at night? Oh, Jenny, I'm just saying, no worries, Jenny, and this is being recorded. So what do you say to yourself? And will you repeat the same thing that you say to yourself to any of your loved ones, to any of your friends, to your employees, or even a total stranger? Practice self-compassion. Be your own best friend. How can you change what you say to yourself to something more positive, more supportive, more encouraging? So I just invite you to take a moment to think about that inner critic. I know we all have an inner critic, and notice what this inner critic tends to tell you. And how can you change what this inner critic is telling you? This is part of self-leadership, saying, thought, I notice you. I know what you're saying. I recognize your voice. You can even name this voice. Oh, you're the voice from my stepmom that I never liked. Right? And I notice you, and I'm going to change the way you talk to me. I'm not going to accept that. So take care of yourself. Take care of yourself by practicing self-compassion and being your own best friend. So I'm going to leave you with my heart practice, because these are really my tips for developing your capacity for self-leadership and promoting your well-being. Yeah, so if there are any questions, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Actually, I will share my presentations with Pero, so you can have a copy of my presentation. I will also send you a workbook, because I like giving homework. Because I think the best learning happens after this kind of thing, when we get to kind of process the information and integrate it. And usually I don't usually give webinars, because I like to be more integrated in my approach. I tend to give 3-hour workshops, but for Pero, 1 hour, that's great. I did that. I really want to get your feedback. I have a short, maybe I'll put it in the chat. Let's see, I'll stop sharing. I just want to know what you like and didn't like about the workshop. So maybe what I could also do is share the link to this with Pero, or I can also put this in the chat maybe. If you could take a few minutes, it should only take a minute to give me your feedback, what you like, didn't like about what's about today. And I will stay, because our time is up, but I will stay to answer your questions, or if you have any comments. I'm trying to put it in the chat. Let's put the feedback here. Oh, you're welcome, Victoria. I'm good. There we go. Thanks, Victoria, for your feedback. So I put the link on the feedback. If you could take a moment to just fill it out. And while you're doing that, I'm happy to stay to take questions, anything that you want to ask me, or any comments, or if you go on my website, I have lots of resources there as well. Yeah. If there are no questions, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you got something from our webinar this afternoon. Thank you, Pero, for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. Wonderful to have you. So I'm just gonna stop.